expressed in program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those.
What's up, everybody? Good to be back in the hot seat. Welcome, Pushing the Limits on a Monday. Thanks for Doug Basham for filling in. He did a great job. And boy, we got a lot to talk about today. Yes, we do. Good to be back here. And I certainly would like to start off the show, besides saying, of course, we're continuing to grow. We're going to hit 145,000 subscribers on YouTube today at PTL Radio Show. We're in the YouTube Super Chat, the AM/FM dial KSHP. And I took a trip to Colorado State with Destiny for the Un-F America Tour at Colorado State, where Charlie Kirk was supposed to be speaking. And I got to tell you, I really enjoyed my time at Colorado State. The people for the Un-F America Tour are wonderful people. And I got a chance to get to know Destiny a little bit better. We went to dinner, and he's a very interesting guy, a very intelligent guy, and we debated some Trump supporters out there. He did a great job. I made some great contacts with some people. In fact, one guy who is a public speaker and an activist and a Trump supporter who one day wants to be the president of the United States, his name is Austin Broton. He's going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour, so that's probably going to be a pretty good debate and discussion. But I had a really good time out there, and I didn't know Colorado State was a liberal campus. A lot of really good people out there, and they treated us really well. And you know what? The Turning Point people treated us really well. So if you want to see some of those debates and you want to see me getting into it with some Trumpers, you go on my YouTube page and you can see the videos. I also did the Piers Morgan show last week, and I wasn't able to talk about it. And I debated Riley Gaines and a woman by the name of Jillian Michaels, who has been attacking me on social media since my appearance. So we'll definitely be talking about that as well. But there's a lot of stuff that I want to talk about today, and there's a lot of things that I want to get into. And I want to start off by talking a little bit about my appearance on the Piers Morgan show. So I'll get to the Jillian Michaels stuff first, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about Riley Gaines and my issues with her. And I was called a pig, a misogynist, and other things, and it has nothing to do with the fact that these are women. But I'll debate any MAGA person any day of the week. So I brought up the fact, and this is probably the last day, to be honest with you, that I'm even going to be talking about Charlie Kirk, because quite frankly, I'm sick of it. Charlie Kirk is now 6 feet underneath the ground. I wish it didn't happen. It's over with. I'm not going to be praising him. I never would. And it's done with. And it's time for America now to move on. That's my personal opinion. The guy who's responsible for it, I hope they, hold him to the highest extent of the law. But I'm done talking about Charlie Kirk. Today will be the last day that I even bring up his name, hopefully. So I was on the Piers Morgan show last week, and a woman by the name of Jillian Michaels was on the panel as well. And I made the case that the day after Paul Pelosi was bludgeoned with a hammer, Charlie Kirk went on his podcast and called anybody a hero that would come up with the money to bail out the attacker. By the way, attempted murder. That person is in jail right now. Jillian Michaels, who has refused to come on this show, went on her podcast attacking me. Have a listen to this.
More that I wanted to dispel very quickly. I will take no more than 2 minutes because I owe it to Charlie, and here's why. Connor, can you put up that clip of me on Piers the other day? So on Piers, this guy accuses Charlie of celebrating the violent political attack on Paul Pelosi. Let's play it.
Jillian, hi, Jillian. I agree with you. I think respectful conversation and political discourse is good. It's one thing I have in common with Charlie Kirk. Here's what I would say, ask you about. The day Paul Pelosi was bludgeoned with a hammer, the day after that, Charlie Kirk went on his podcast. He made jokes about it. And on his show, he asked his listeners to donate to the person who tried to kill Paul Pelosi. Are you willing to admit that that's also wrong? Because Charlie Kirk did that on his show.
Charlie didn't do that. So, of course, I went and I looked into it, and here's what happened. It's on factcheck.org. There's a link to the entire episode if you don't want to listen to it. So, October 31st, 2022, on his show, timestamp 53 minutes in, Kirk said, the attack on Paul Pelosi was, quote, awful and, quote, not right. Now, does that sound like he's making jokes? I don't think so. He said that someone should bail out the assailer, David DePape, or Pape, whatever his name is, because cashless bail policies in certain cities allow other people to commit crimes and be released from custody pending trial. So why is he still in jail? So what Charlie was doing was pointing out the hypocrisy, and he goes, why hasn't he been bailed out? And he goes, by the way, if some amazing patriot out there in San Francisco or the Bay Area wants to be a midterm hero, someone should bail this guy out and go ask him some questions. He goes, I am not qualifying this. I think it's awful. It's not right. He goes on to talk about cashless bail and San Francisco and how awful it is and why is it that suddenly the guy who attacks Nancy Pelosi's husband doesn't have cashless bail. So he was pointing out the hypocrisy. Anyway, my point again for the last time is, do you think this guy told anything true about that? No, he didn't say any. He said he made jokes. He didn't. He said that he celebrated it and all that. He obviously didn't. He called it out as awful and wrong, and then he mischaracterized the point that Charlie was trying to make. So we can absolutely move on, but because I was unfamiliar with this, I was incapable of giving the actualities of what occurred, and I wanted to set the record straight right now.
Sure. Let's set the record straight. If you go on factcheck.org, the question is asked, did Kirk encourage his audience to contribute to bail out the attacker? On factcheck.org, yes, he did in the October 31st, 2022 episode. I don't care what excuse you have as to why he did that, whether it's talking about cashless bail. I don't care. You'll never hear Charlie Kirk gloat and call any of his listeners heroes if they bail out a black person for committing a heinous crime. This is exactly what Charlie Kirk said on his podcast to prove that Jillian Michaels is a complete imbecile.
And why is he still in jail? Why has he not been bailed out? By the way, if some amazing patriot out there in San Francisco or the Bay Area wants to really be a midterm hero, someone should go and bail this guy out. I bet his bail's like $30,000 or $40,000. Bail him out and then go ask him some questions.
Ask him some questions. Does that sound like somebody that is really upset at what happened to Paul Pelosi? Now, he might have said in that episode, I'm sorry what happened to him. Charlie Kirk is smiling when he said that. You can go back and look at it yourself. We just played it. Charlie Kirk is saying anybody is a hero who helps bail out somebody who attempted to murder Paul Pelosi. Nothing I said on the Piers Morgan show is a lie. And the reason why I said he said that in a joking fashion is because he's smiling when he said that. He thought it was funny. Now, Paul Pelosi almost was killed. Imagine if I said on this show to any of my listeners, you're a hero if you try to bail out this 22-year-old who murdered Charlie Kirk. Now, of course, I would never say that because I'm not a bad person and I don't condone any type of political violence or violence for that matter. Jillian Michaels curls herself into a pretzel because she's an imbecile. I don't care if he was talking about cashless bail. Charlie Kirk was a racist. Now, let me ask you all a question. If the issue is about cashless bail, has Charlie Kirk ever asked his listeners to bail out a black person and called any of his listeners a hero who bailed out a black person? No, of course the answer is no. The only reason why he did that on his podcast was because it just so happened to be Nancy Pelosi's husband. Anybody with an IQ over 20 knows that, and Jillian Michaels is an imbecile. And on her little podcast she did today, she walked off set because she is an embarrassment. And they were talking about Israel. And some of her panelists on the podcast were talking about Benjamin Netanyahu and criticizing Israel. She couldn't handle the conversation, so she walked off set because she's a very stupid person. She's not capable of civil discourse. She can't talk about politics, and she's literally the biggest loser. Jillian Michaels, the offer still stands. You're welcome to come on this show and tell me why you think I'm a liar and I'm not capable of political discourse, but I just proved you're an idiot. And speaking of idiots, let's talk about Nancy Mace for a moment. When I appeared on the Piers Morgan show, Nancy Mace appeared right after me. I was questioning Riley Gaines. And what I said on the show were a few things. Riley Gaines claimed that a bunch of Democrat politicians were celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. That's not true. You couldn't name me one. Ilhan Omar never celebrated the death. She's criticized Charlie Kirk just as I have. AOC never celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk. She's criticized him just like I have. And Riley Gaines made the statement, which is a lie, which I pointed out on the Piers Morgan show, that she couldn't name one Democrat politician that has actually celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk. It's a lie that the right is putting forth. And I called her out on that. I didn't yell, I didn't scream, but I did call her a liar. And then Nancy Mace comes on the show and says this.
Well, it's insane. And you can just see in the previous debate, you saw two grown men, Democrat men, screaming, yelling on your program at two women. Riley Gaines is one of the brightest, smartest, youngest minds fighting for what she believes in. And we want to encourage that, not discourage it. I don't want to discourage anyone out there to prevent them from speaking up by getting yelled at. I was yelled out yesterday in front of Don Lemon at the steps of the Capitol, and all we want to do, I'm a rape survivor. All I want as a rape victim is to ensure that men aren't in my bathroom or Riley's bathroom or in the shower next to us. That is dangerous.
So Nancy Mace also made the case that I'm part of the problem and part of the reason why we have political violence in this country. By the way, Nancy Mace in every single interview calls herself a rape survivor. I don't believe she was ever the victim of sexual assault. And I would say if she was, which I don't believe her because she calls herself the victim in every interview, then why do you support the guy who is an adjudicated rapist? Why do you support the guy who has 25 plus women who have accused him of sexual assault or rape, including his ex-wife? You see, Nancy Mace doesn't want to answer that question, does she? By the way, Nancy, the disgrace, I'm not even a Democrat. But if you want to talk about political violence and you want to talk about people that maybe add to the problem, maybe you should call this guy out. Because this is what Donald Trump said, literally, at Charlie Kirk's funeral yesterday. Nancy Mace won't talk about this, though. Have a listen to what Donald Trump said. Again, this is not a Trump rally. This is at Charlie Kirk's funeral. Have a listen to this.
Truly was. He was a missionary with a noble spirit and a great, great purpose. He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponent. And I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Erica.
I hate my opponents, and I don't want what is best for them. You think Nancy Mace would ever tweet something out if she's not talking about transgenders, which she does 24/7? What's more hateful, me calling out Riley Gaines for being a grifter, or Donald Trump at Charlie Kirk's funeral basically saying he hates half the country? But you'll never hear Nancy Mace call that out. Oh no, and Trump continues. Again, I thought this was supposed to be a funeral with a bunch of people grieving. But here's Donald Trump talking about Jimmy Kimmel. Folks, you cannot make this up. But Nancy Mace thinks I was, by the way, I wasn't yelling or screaming at anybody in the Piers Morgan show. I'm a passionate person. I was speaking at the same tone I'm talking right now. I'm not screaming at anybody. I'm a passionate person. Listen to what Donald Trump said at, again, Charlie Kirk's funeral.
The Department of Justice is also investigating networks of radical left maniacs who fund, organize, fuel, and perpetrate political violence. And we think we know who many of them are. But law enforcement can only be the beginning of our response to Charlie's murder. Over the last 11 days, we have heard stories of commentators, influencers, and others in our society who greeted his assassination with sick approval, excuses, or even jubilation. You've heard that. So have I. Couldn't believe it. Some of the very same people who spent the last 8 years trying to sit in moral judgment of anyone who disagreed with them about politics suddenly started cheering for a murder. Incredible. You know the names. They're major losers, by the way. That will be proven out in a short period of time. Some of the very people who call you a hater for using the wrong pronoun were filled with glee at the killing of a father with 2 beautiful young children. And the same commentators who this week are screaming fascism over a canceled late-night TV show where the anchor had no talent and no ratings, last week were implying that Charlie Kirk deserved what happened to him. No side in American politics has a monopoly on disturbed or misguided people. But there's one part of our political community which believes they have a monopoly on truth, goodness, and virtue, and concludes they have also a monopoly on power, thought, and speech. Well, that's not happening anymore. We've turned that corner very quickly. Tragically, atrocities of this kind, and kind that we saw in Utah, of all places, are the eventual consequence of that kind of thinking. If speech is violence, then some are bound to conclude that violence is justified to stop speech. And we're not going to let that be justified.
No, you're just attacking speech. By the way, that's a lie, filled with lies. Jimmy Kimmel never celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk, and neither did so many other politicians that are in office and people in this country. That is a blatant lie. Can you find some crazies on social media that are celebrating his death? Sure. I don't agree with that. Jimmy Kimmel never celebrated his death. He made a joke about you because you're an idiot with no empathy. He made a joke about you because you were asked the other day, how are you holding up, Mr. President, after your friend's death? He said, I'm fine. And then he started talking about the ballroom at the White House. And Jimmy Kimmel appropriately pointed out how ridiculous you are. That doesn't mean he's celebrating the death. Neither are I, neither is Destiny, and all these other people that are claiming we're celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. Right now, I'm moving on, and I don't care anymore. That doesn't mean I'm celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. You imbeciles out there, Nancy Mace, you imbecile, you coward. I just emailed your campaign manager again. You'll attack me on the Piers Morgan show, but you won't come on this show, and you will dodge me. Just like Jillian Michaels, who's been hate tweeting about me for the last several days, but also refuses to come on my show because she says I'm not capable of civil discourse. Meanwhile, she just walked off her own show because she couldn't handle the heat when some other panelists were talking about Israel, and she had a different opinion, so she walks off. These people are cowards. Nancy Mace is a coward. She plays the victim in every single situation, and I had to deal with 2 Karens on the Piers Morgan show that were crying, that couldn't take the heat, and then Piers Morgan had to try to defend them. Keep in mind, these comments by Donald Trump are at Charlie Kirk's funeral. It's a funeral. It's not a Trump rally. It's not a Klan rally, even though it might have sounded like one. Trump talked about Jimmy Kimmel. He attacked the left. It was full of hate. If you wanted to talk about Charlie Kirk and what a great guy he was, I would disagree with you, but I'd understand it because it's his funeral. Do what you got to do, say what you want to say. I wouldn't have a problem with that. But to divide the country even further is ridiculous. And if you want to talk about division, let's talk about Stephen Miller, who does have some Nazi tendencies, by the way. I have no problem. I'm comfortable in saying that. Listen to what Stephen Miller had to say. Again, it's not a Trump rally. It's not a Klan rally. It's supposed to be Charlie Kirk's funeral. Listen to Stephen Miller.
We will defeat the dark. We will prevail over the forces of wickedness and evil. They cannot imagine what they have awakened. They cannot conceive of the army that they have arisen in all of us. Because we stand for what is good, what is virtuous, what is noble. And to those trying to incite violence against us, those trying to foment hatred against us, what do you have? You have nothing. You are nothing. You are wickedness, you are jealousy, you are envy, you are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing. You can produce nothing. You can create nothing. We are the ones who build. We are the ones who create. We are the ones who lift up humanity. You thought you could kill Charlie Kirk? You have made him immortal. You have immortalized Charlie Kirk. And now millions will carry on his legacy. And we will devote the rest of our lives to finishing the causes for which Charlie gave his last measure of devotion. You cannot defeat us, you cannot slow us, you cannot stop us, you cannot deter us. We will carry Charlie and Erica in our heart every single day and fight that much harder because of what you did to us. You have no idea the dragon you have awakened. You have no idea how determined we will be to save this civilization, to save the West, to save this republic.
Again, that's a funeral, and Stephen Miller basically attacking half of the country saying, we did it, you did it. No, we didn't do it, you didn't do it. A 22-year-old did it, you dumbass. Really, I'm being honest with you. There were moments at that funeral where it felt like a Klan rally or a cultist rally, whatever you want to call it. Donald Trump and Stephen Miller are despicable human beings, and it's shameful what they did at that funeral. They're not capable of bringing people together. Why couldn't you just talk about Charlie Kirk? Why did you have to divide the country? But you see, Nancy Mace won't talk about that. She'll talk about me calling Riley Gaines a grifter. I'm the reason why this shooting happened. But they won't criticize Donald Trump for anything that he said at that funeral, which was, by the way, utterly despicable. I want to echo some of the things I said at the beginning of the show because I went on this Un-F America tour to Colorado State, and we've had Z in studio before. And I got to tell you, I was amazed at the kindness, the friends I made out there, and how nice these people are. Let me tell you something. This is a movement that is only going to get bigger, and I am very honored and proud to be a part of it. My understanding is they're going to be traveling all over the country the next couple months, and I'm going to be there with them, and I am going to broadcast live at these events. And I also had the opportunity to meet Destiny. We grabbed dinner, spent some private time with him. He's a very interesting guy, a guy that has not had a very easy life, by the way. He's extremely intelligent, a great debater. In fact, I learned a little bit from him in his debating style. It was a lot of fun. I had a great time out there with some wonderful people, and the people of Colorado State were great. And I am going to go out there and I'm going to broadcast my show live at these events with the Un-F America Tour because I do believe at one point it will get as big as Turning Point. I really do believe that. I was talking to Robbie Roadsteamer on the phone yesterday, who's also a part of the Un-F America Tour. I can't wait to meet him in person. His health is doing better. There's a lot of good people that are part of this movement, and I am proud to be one of them. I was proud to be there, and I will continue to be proud to be in this organization fighting for truth. Yes, there were a few Trump supporters there that I posted on my YouTube page, those interactions. Yes, there were some buffoons out there. But the Un-F America Tour people allowed them a voice. Some of them didn't want to take the microphone. They were just ad hominem attacks. All in all, it was a great event. It was a wonderful turnout. I was happy to be a part of it, and I will continue to be a part of this tour with Destiny and so many other wonderful people that I had a chance to spend some time with, and I really enjoyed myself. It's almost like I forgot. You know, when I go to some of these political rallies, like the Trump rallies I went to and stuff, there are just so many bad people. It just felt so good to be a part of a group, a small group of people. I think it was like 15 or 16 of us, something like that, that were out there. And they're all just nice people, right? They're nice people to be around. They're good people. Mercedes was another one, a very popular left-leaning podcaster, even though she's a Republican. Very nice person. I met her partner. I met a bunch of other people. I met Destiny, his girlfriend. Just wonderful people. Yeah, Destiny is a different cat. I'm not going to lie to you. He's a little different, but he's a good dude. And he has to put up with a lot of crap. And I thought he did a magnificent job out there. And if there's one thing that I think the organizers of the Un-F America Tour would agree upon with Charlie Kirk, it's political discourse. We need that in this country without violence. So I'll make this statement on my show right now. I'm going to continue to be a part of this Un-F America tour. They are going to be making multiple stops in many different cities across the country. I will be there. And I met some people on the Colorado State campus that see me on Pierce Morgan. They've seen me on national TV, and they listen to my show. I signed some autographs for some people, but it made me feel like, you know, I have a responsibility and a job that supersedes just Las Vegas. There are people all over the country, even young people on college campuses that enjoy what I do. There's some people that don't like me, and that's okay too. But there's a lot of listeners out there, and it made me feel like I have a stronger calling. I have to go out to these cities with them across the country. I've already contacted the PBD podcast. They contacted me, and they wanted me to fly out to Florida to do their show. I originally said no. I'm going to do it now. I have a responsibility to meet all of you. I have a responsibility to tour the country. And I'll tell you right now, there's no better people that I would rather do it with than Z and Destiny and the people in the Un-F America tour. So I'm coming to a city near you, and we are going to do the show live. So speaking of the Un-F America tour, I met a guy by the name of Austin Broton. He's a public speaker. He's an activist. And we're going to take a break. And when we come back, he is going to join us on the program. He says he wants to be president one day. Oh, yeah, one little tidbit. He's a Trump supporter. I debated him at Colorado State. We are going to get into a debate right now with Austin. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back in 90 seconds. We'll take your calls on the other side as well. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of...
All right, welcome back. It's Pushing the Limits on a Monday. Quick programming note for you. Ron Filipkowski from Midas Touch will be joining us tomorrow, and there's a good chance we might be getting Alex Jones on the show tomorrow. How about that? That will be very interesting. There's a good chance that'll happen tomorrow as well. You know, I had a really good weekend. People have been talking to me. Going out to Colorado State was eye-opening for me. It has changed me. And I realize I have a higher calling, and I need to get out there to all these other cities, which I will do. Don't ask me why, but I went to a Chris Brown concert over the weekend. Well, I'll tell you why, because a friend of mine really wanted to go, and I was glad to take her. And it was in a suite, and anybody knows me knows I love my free food. So I think Chris Brown sucks, and I thought the show was terrible, and he lip synced throughout the whole thing. But that was okay, and I had a really enjoyable date last night. I was very tired. I was kind of drained and run down, but I met this lovely lady. We went out to a local casino here and had a drink, and I had a really good time. So it was nice hanging out with good people. So if you're listening out there, thank you. So I was out there at Colorado State, and I met some really good people, even some people that I disagree with. And I don't dislike someone just because I disagree with them. And I think the gentleman that we are introducing on the program right now is a really good guy. We disagree. That's it. His name is Austin Broton. He's a public speaker. He's an activist. He is a Trump supporter. And one day he wants to run for president of the United States. Austin, I do appreciate you being here, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great. I appreciate the invitation. So how are you feeling today?
A little tired, a little drained, but I did get some sleep last night. So I'm doing okay. I enjoyed meeting you and a lot of people out there at Colorado State, a lot of good people, and I do include you as one of those. And I think I met your girlfriend too, and she's very nice. And but I figured we'd come on today and have a little discussion. Let's start with the Charlie Kirk funeral.
Yes.
What do you make of Donald Trump saying he hates his enemies? Obviously, he's talking about Democrats because, Austin, we're talking about a funeral. This is the guy who you voted for. Do you think that's appropriate for him to use language like that?
I think it's very important to understand that Trump, he has this tendency to sort of over glamorize the moment and some kind of turn it about himself a little bit. But in that instance, I think he was making a joke when he said, you have to love your enemies, but I don't like my enemies. I don't want the best for my opponents. I'm sorry, Erica. Charlie he's probably looking down on me right now, probably upset about that, to quote him exactly. So I think in that instance, he was making a bit of a joke. He was trying to kind of lighten the mood a little bit. So I don't really put too much stock in that particular statement. I think he was trying to lighten the mood in that.
Do you think lightening the mood is saying you hate half the country? Because I guess I disagree with you on that. I don't think what Charlie Kirk literally, we can agree, he was murdered from political violence, right? This was one crazy lunatic individual. We both agree it was horrible.
Yeah.
So do you think it's appropriate when Charlie Kirk is lying there with a bullet through his neck, he's dead, and now Donald Trump is saying he hates half the country, even if you think that was a joke? And by the way, I disagree with you. I don't think it was a joke. I think he actually means that. I think he has a lot of hatred in his heart. Isn't that part of the problem and why we're here?
Well, that would be part of the problem if Trump was being serious. I don't think. I'm looking at his body language. I'm looking at his tone. I'm looking at him saying Charlie's probably up there, not happy with him right now. I think he was definitely joking in that instance, but I don't think.
Even if he was joking, do you think that's appropriate at a funeral?
Well, we can argue about what's appropriate or not. I don't think it was maybe it wasn't the best time. But I think that he was, once again, I do highlight the fact that the president was trying to lighten the very somber mood. I mean, it was a celebration of life. Charlie has had his private funeral. Charlie's laid to rest now. And I think that what is important for the country is to try to make the best of a bad situation, a horrendous situation. And
you think Trump is doing that? You think Trump's showing leadership and bringing the country together?
Well, I think that the entire country and the massive amount of outpouring of support that was there for Charlie at that rally, I think it was a very, very good display.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Austin, but I'm specifically talking about the president. I understand that there are people out there that want to bring the country together. I understand what you're saying, and I agree with that. There are people out there that are doing that. But you're a Trump supporter. Do you think Donald Trump, over the course of the last week and a half, attacking the radical left, saying he hates his opponents, whether you think it was a joke or not, do you think the leader of the free world is actually showing leadership, lowering the temperature, and bringing the country together?
I think he's showing his brand of leadership. I think that he is neither lowering nor raising the temperature. I think Trump is being Trump. I think that when you talk about him attacking the radical left, because that's who took the life of Charlie Kirk, was an absolutely radical.
How do you know that?
Well, the information that has come out on Tyler Robinson, which has been first of all, I have to give credit where it's due. Candace Owens has been doing a fantastic open investigation on this. And the latest report that she released, or the latest episode of her series following this, indicated that Tyler Robinson's father, who was a Republican, noted that his son was becoming more and more radicalized to the left over recent months.
Is Candace Owens investigating this? Because last I checked, Candace Owens is the same person who says Donald Trump won the 2020 election. Candace Owens is the same person who makes anti-Semitic comments on a regular basis. Why would you use Candace Owens as a source? It's like using Laura Loomer. She's not investigating this. She's not an investigator. All we know is that the family is a Republican family. We know that this 22-year-old, what 22-year-old doesn't want to do the opposite of what their parents want them to do? Now, obviously, this person was a lunatic and crazy, yes. But why assume that he's a leftist? I don't, and why does it even matter? I don't understand. Help me understand.
Well, the reason that I think it matters, and I think the reason I think it's very significant in this case is, one, I'm not here to talk about the 2020 election. I'm not talking about something that is 4 years old. Candace Owens.
They still are. Trump still is.
Well, I mean, Trump is Trump. Trump has an ego the size of Mount Everest. His ego is a little bit bigger than mine, and I
But
thought
why
mine
is
was.
that? But Austin, come on. Why is that an excuse when you keep saying?
It's not an excuse, Brian. I think that what I'm looking at with Donald Trump is Trump, whether we like him or not, whether he's brash or not. We have to remember 77 million Americans voted for him because in their mind at that time, they were fed up with what they called the establishment. That's why Trump was able to run on a populist platform, and he was able to garner so many voters who felt that they were disaffected and they were disavowed by the Democrats and with the what Trump calls the rhinos, Republican and
a lot of those 77 million people are going to be losing their Medicaid. They're going to be losing their food stamps. A lot of businesses have been shut down. We are headed towards a recession. We've started a war with Iran. He said he would end the war within 24 hours with Ukraine. We're no closer to ending the war now than we were on day one. He's blamed DEI hires on plane crashes. And I mean, 77 million, you're right. 77 million Americans did vote for Donald Trump. I think most of those people are very ill-informed and they made a very bad mistake because I think this country would be in a much better place. But you mentioned, I'm not talking about the 2020 election. Donald Trump is. He's the one who said, even after the Charlie Kirk murder, still talking about the election being rigged. Doesn't it bother you that he's the only president in American history that refuses to concede an election?
It doesn't bother me because I understand Trump. I understand his ego. I understand his bravado. I understand his slight degree of narcissism, which all of these things are pieces of his personality that helped him get elected. And to be honest with you, helped me vote for him in 2016 and helped me vote for him in 2020 and helped me do it again in 2024. I classify myself as much of a political outsider. Some of my views are just right of center. Some of them are just left of center. But I would classify myself as a populist, much like the platform that Donald Trump ran on. And he did break political barriers. He's the only person that in American history that I'm aware of that went just from being an outsider to a politician. And he was able to do that by speaking to the masses of voters that felt like they were not being heard by either party. This is why he was able to gain such a massive amount of inroads, though small in the numerically, but culturally you saw a major shift between Black Americans and even white women. He gained a larger share of Black male and Black female votes.
80% of Black men did not vote for Donald Trump. 93% of Black women did not vote for Donald Trump. I don't think that's something to brag about. Now he's going after Letitia James. He's going after his political opponents. If you're talking about what he ran on, he ran on, I will end the war within 24 hours. Yes. He ran on, I will not go after my political opponents. We're not going to use politicize. We know he's doing that. Letitia James, it was already investigated. She didn't break any laws. He's still trying to go after her. He's firing people because he doesn't like them. I mean, come on, you know that.
But Brian, it's very important to understand that as the president, there are a multiplicity of positions within the executive office that serves exclusively at the pleasure of the president. So even to your point about me running for president 15 years, if someone is not doing the job that I want them to do, like it or not, I have the authority to fire them and replace them. That is one of the powers granted to the president in the Constitution.
I didn't say he didn't have the authority, even though we can talk about how he's broken the law. He already has done that as president this go around. It's not that he doesn't have the authority. It's that he's weaponizing this system to do so. You know that. And you know that's why he's sending the National Guard to D.C., sending the National Guard eventually to Chicago. He's talking about Baltimore, all run by mayors who look like you. You just think that's a coincidence?
No, I don't think it's a coincidence. I actually think it's a tragedy. The fact that some of the highest crime rates in these cities are being run by mayors that look like me is horrendous. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, in fact, that in the city of Chicago, it has one of the highest murder rates in this country. And
no. Hold on. That's not factually accurate. Per capita, they do not. They're not even top 50.
Well, per capita, when you look at the rate at which it affects Black men and Black boys and Black girls, per capita, it's still the highest because I care about primarily. Brian, hold on. Primarily, I care about what happens to my race first. And when you look at the murder rates in the United States of America, we are 13% of the population, yet we make up over 51.2% of all the nation's victims, murder victims and murder perpetrators. And if you actually talk to several of the citizens that have been in D.C., I know some that I'm in a group chat with right now that they're very glad that the National Guard has come in. They've reported that crime is down. Even the mayor of D.C. admitted that crime is down due to the National Guard's presence.
Of course, crime is down because the National Guard. That doesn't mean we call in the National Guard to every single city. And by the way, they're going to leave eventually. I would also say I'm not talking about race. No matter what the color of your skin is, I don't want people to be the victims of crime. But what you said is not true. Chicago per capita is not anywhere near one of the most dangerous cities. Washington, D.C., nowhere near one of the most dangerous cities. And, he's picking these cities that are run by Democrats. I find it very convenient not calling in the National Guard to any cities run by Republicans, while we know some of the most dangerous cities in this country per capita when it comes to violence are run by Republicans. He hasn't even talked about those cities. So you can't tell me this doesn't have anything to do with politics.
Well, no, I absolutely. Once again, I think it does have something to do with politics. If you look at the cities, when you're referencing the areas that are run by Republicans, many of these states rather, that have high crime rates per capita have Republican governors or Republican-leaning governors. But when you look at the individual cities, many of these are run by Democratic mayors. And Trump did also say that he would expand the National Guard to go around the entire country if necessary. And so I think that if we look at crime. Once again, going back to Chicago and D.C., the two cities you initially named, I don't necessarily see an issue with the National Guard being there if the goal is to reduce crime. As someone that has worked as a police dispatcher myself for many years, I would love to see crime rates at zero or net zero.
So you think Donald Trump wants to make America safer? Is that a fair statement?
I would absolutely say that I think he wants to make it.
Then why did he pardon a bunch of people who beat police officers on January 6th and called them patriots and hostages? If he cares about DC, let's just focus on that. And he cares about the safety of people. There were at least 700 people that were convicted. Many of them pled guilty to violent crimes on January 6th. He called them patriots and hostages, which obviously they are not. And he pardoned them. Austin, how do you defend that? Are you
I remember that you said this in the debate we had, the brief debate that we had at Colorado State. Let's be clear here, and I'm saying this as a black man, by the way. Just because you plead guilty to something does not necessarily mean that you committed the act.
You saw the video, Austin.
What I saw on January 6th were people being let into the Capitol.
That's not entirely true.
The Capitol.
Wait.
Come on,
no,
Brian.
that's not true.
I saw the footage just like
you didn't see the footage of police officers being beaten. Is that what you're claiming on this show?
I didn't make the claim that I saw footage or not of officers being
wait.
Hold
on. You're a political person. You want to run for president. Yes. You mean to tell me on this show right now you didn't see any footage of police officers being beaten?
What I have seen and what I have personally observed, and the footage that has been sent to me, I was unable to see any police officers being assaulted. What I did see was a young woman by the name of, I believe her name was Ashley Bobbitt. She was killed by a security guard at the Capitol. But that was all the footage that I saw. Now, if you have additional footage that I haven't seen, feel free to send it to me. I'll take a look.
I am absolutely shocked that you're claiming that you didn't see any footage of violence towards Capitol Police. Well, let me just give you some facts. 140 officers were beaten that day. Many of them were sent to the hospital. Some of them lost fingers. Multiple officers have traumatic brain injury. Some officers had heart attacks, like Officer Fanone. Okay? Yes, you're right. Ashley Babbitt was shot. It was investigated, and it was declared that officer did not break the law in doing so. There were some people that were let in, a small minority of those people, because and by the way, we learned this on the commission, that when you have 200 to 300 people that are trying to get in somewhere where they don't belong, and you have one or two officers that have guns, they have one of two choices, and they testified about this. Either I take out my gun and I start shooting people and killing people, or I let them in. A few officers decided to let them in. It doesn't take away what they did. Defecating on Nancy Pelosi's desk, destruction of property. And again, I repeat myself, over 140 police officers were beaten. But I find it interesting, Austin, and ironic that you definitely heard about Ashley Babbitt, but somehow you didn't see any footage of any of the police officers beaten that day. You're a smart guy. I've had private conversations with you. I find it disingenuous that you're telling me you didn't see any video of any of the violence that day.
Well, you could find it disingenuous, but I can only be as authentic as I know how to be, and I can only be honest. So if I didn't see the footage, I didn't see the footage. Now, like I said, if you have it, I'll gladly take a look at it, and then my assessment will change based on the evidence.
I will send it to you.
What I want to, the Democrats on the left love focusing on January 6th. Nancy Pelosi is on recording saying that January 6th was her fault. She stated that she declined National Guard being deployed to the Capitol. She said this on tape. So
let me ask you a question.
My only question to you, Brian, is this: how much responsibility do you put on Nancy Pelosi and on the left for the failure to have the National Guard deployed to January 6th?
Who was the president that day?
That's not my question, Brian.
No. I'm answering your question. Donald Trump deployed the National Guard pretty quickly to D.C., didn't he?
on January 6th, the National Guard was
Did
not
Donald
deployed.
Trump have the same powers that day as he had when he deployed the National Guard to D.C. A few weeks ago?
Brian,
he have
that's a
the same
red
power?
herring. That's not answering the question.
No. The point I'm trying to make
question?
to you, is that Donald Trump had the authority. He didn't have to have Nancy Pelosi's authority. Okay, you're the one who's bringing that up. Donald Trump was the president of the United States. He sat on his ass for 4.5 hours. He did nothing. They begged him to put out a video. It took him 4 hours to do so. You know as well as I do that Donald Trump had the authority to do so because he just did it a few weeks ago. But you want to blame Nancy Pelosi. And let me ask you this. If Donald Trump doesn't lie, which he did and he continues to do, and say that the 2020 election was stolen, does January 6th happen?
You could make the argument that January 6th doesn't happen.
I think you could. Yeah, I think you could.
However, once again, I'm not the focus on January 6th and the focus on the 2020 election indicates that the left simply wants Trump to concede something that he refuses to concede. He would not concede it on MSNBC. He would not concede it in any interview that he's done. And I don't think that I essentially think you're beating a dead horse and barking up the wrong tree if you think that you're going to get a man with the ego the size of President Trump's to argue or agree that he lost the 2020 election. I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think that's going to happen either. I agree with you, but I'm mesmerized that you can't call him out for it. He's the only president in American history that refuses to do so. Let's talk about present, though, Austin. If you're just joining us, by the way, Austin Broton, public speaker activist. I met him at Colorado State. He is a Donald Trump supporter. Let's talk about what's happening right now in this country. Sure. Are you comfortable with someone who doesn't have the proper paperwork, that has lived in this country for decades, that has been sent without due process to prisons like El Salvador prisons and others where people are being beaten and tortured? I'm not talking about violent criminals now. Over 60% of the people that have been deported, some of those people have been sent to these prisons that are nonviolent criminals. Are you comfortable with that?
I'm not comfortable with them being sent to prisons if they're nonviolent criminals. No, I'm not comfortable with that. What I am comfortable with, however, is getting those that have come over to this country illegally, getting them out and forcing them to go through the proper process. I don't care how many years you've been here, because what that does is it circumvents and it undercuts those immigrants that have followed the proper procedures and followed the proper protocol. It's a very costly thing, Brian, to move to the United States from a foreign country. It costs anywhere from $2,500 to sometimes upwards of $5,000 per individual to come to the country. So for those that do come over to and cross the border illegally, while I'm not for them going to prisons where they would be harmed or tortured, I am for getting them out of the country. Let me ask you this. In addition to that, there are about 37 Venezuelan parents right now that were successfully deported. They are in their homelands, and there are multiple Democratic lawmakers preventing their children who are still here in the United States from being returned overseas to be with their parents. Now, as a member of the left, what would you say to that?
Okay, so just to be clear, I'm not a member of the left. I'm a registered independent who didn't vote for Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton. I'm very anti-Donald Trump. So just to be clear on that, I'm not a member of the Democrat Party. Number two, I'm very uncomfortable with families and mothers and fathers that have never committed a violent crime in their life being ripped apart from their families. I'm very uncomfortable with what Tom Homan is doing, and I'm going to go further with Tom Homan in a moment. Arresting people and tackling people in front of courtrooms is absurd. Barack Obama deported a lot of people. They weren't gloating about it. They weren't bragging about it. They weren't happy about it. They certainly didn't have Dr. Phil there with a microphone making a spectacle about it. They had some human decency. The Tom Homan, and by the way, that's another thing I wanted to bring up with you. Tom Homan, part of an FBI investigation where they basically trapped him in a video of literally taking a $50,000 bribe. The Trump administration will not release that video. They closed the case. The Trump administration will not release the Epstein files. How could you be okay with that?
You must not have heard me when I was at the debate. I'm not okay with him not releasing the Epstein files. That is probably one of the glaring red marks that I would give Trump on his administration. I have stated repeatedly that I think that the Epstein files should be released. I think Pam Bondi lied.
I want to release them. Why won't he release?
Because I think that the primary reason that the Epstein files will not be released is because it would destabilize the entire geopolitical power structure if a large slew of American celebrities, American politicians, and American businessmen were found to have been engaging in sexual activities with minors on an island. I think it would destabilize the entire geopolitical sphere. I want it released because I want criminals brought to justice, Brian.
So, Austin, we agree on this. I want it released as well. Could it be possible that the guy who was once best friends with Jeffrey Epstein, who we know was on the Epstein flight log at least 7 times, who we know sexualized his own daughter, who's seen in parties with Jeffrey Epstein, the Wall Street Journal reports that he is all over the Epstein files. Kash Patel would not answer the question under oath. Did you tell Pam Bondi that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files? Kash Patel wouldn't answer it. He was asked about it 8 times. We know what the answer is. Isn't it possible, Austin, that you voted for a guy who is in the Epstein files who might be a pedophile?
No. The reason it's not possible, I'm going to tell you why. The reason it's not possible, Brian, is because if Donald Trump was in the Epstein files, there is no way. If he was in the Epstein files, not just in the flight logs, I highly believe, and in fact, I guarantee, I'd be willing to bet everything I own on it, that the Democratic establishment at that time during the election would have released that information.
They were under seal. They were under seal.
Hold on. I believe that the Democrats would have released that information if Trump was guilty of having committed any sexual act with a minor. The Democrats did not want Donald Trump to win. They did everything they could. They weaponized the Justice Department against him. They had the 34 felony counts on him. They called him a Nazi. They compared him to Hitler ridiculously, which is insane. How dare you compare Donald Trump, who wouldn't even pale in comparison to the most evil man in America in the world history, to Hitler, for God's sake. So if he was guilty of actually having slept with a minor, I know that the Democrats would have released it. I think that, once again, what I think the unfortunate reason is that the Epstein files will not be released. And this is one of the bitter pills that all Americans will have to swallow, is that it could possibly entangle the entire geopolitical power structure across the world.
I don't care about the GOP political structure. What I care about is victims getting their justice. And I disagree with you. First of all, the Wall Street Journal would not even be here if they made that up. Number two, logically speaking, if the answer is no, like you're claiming, which I respectfully disagree, that if Donald Trump's not in the Epstein files, why wouldn't Kash Patel answer that question under oath? It would have been a simple no. The question was asked, did you tell Pam Bondi that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files? If the answer is no, then why wouldn't he answer it that way? What is your reasoning?
I can't speak to why Kash Patel didn't answer the question directly. It was already stated that Pam Bondi. It was already stated that Pam Bondi informed President Trump that he was listed in the Epstein files. We know full well, to your point, that Trump was friends with Epstein at one point, but we also know that Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago when he was informed that
he found out there was sex trafficking going on there, and he took one of his women or teenage girls from Mar-a-Lago, and they claimed that they took her to a spa, where that was a lie. Epstein never had a spa. That's why they stopped talking. I believe there was sex trafficking going on at Mar-a-Lago. And the reason
that's a completely different story from what I heard, Brian. What I was told was that Trump kicked Epstein out after Epstein was told to have made a pass at one of the waitress's daughters. So I didn't hear anything about a taking any woman to get a massage or anything of the sort.
Listen, you know as well as I do the reason why Kash Patel wouldn't answer that question. They will do everything they can to defend Donald Trump. He was asked a very simple yes or no question. Did you tell Pam Bondi that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files? He wouldn't answer the question. The only reason that any logical person could come up with the reason why he wouldn't answer it is because obviously the answer is yes. Pam Bondi is the person that had all these people with these binders out there. Phase 1 of the Epstein files, they all look like clowns. And Pam Bondi is Donald Trump's personal attorney. We all know that. What about this big and beautiful bill? Let's talk a little bit about that. And the fact that over 15 million people are going to lose their medical coverage. The fact that millions of people are going to lose their food stamps. A lot of these people are struggling. They need it. As you know, 30% of the people that are working in this country are not even offered health care benefits, and 49% of them can't afford it. Now, I know, because I've had private conversations with you, and I do believe you have a good heart and you do care about people. How could you be okay with all these people losing their medical coverage?
So for the medical coverage piece, it's very important to note that in the big, beautiful bill, there are exceptions granted to people that cannot work, that do have pre-existing medical conditions where they can maintain their Medicare benefits for some time. And the work requirement is somewhere between 20 to 30 hours a week for everyone else that wants to maintain Medicare benefits. So everyone's not losing their Medicare. That's actually not 100% accurate.
I didn't say everybody, Austin, but what I did say was
millions of Americans. So
yeah,
to those millions of Americans, millions of Americans that are currently getting Medicare that would have it cut off if they did not work, there are medical exemptions. There are exemption clauses they can gain access to if they fill out the proper forms and the proper paperwork.
But Austin, 30% of people that are working in this country are not offered health care benefits, and half of them can't afford it. There's millions of people in this country that are working, Americans that are working much more than 20 to 30 hours a week, that rely on that medical coverage. And in this big and beautiful bill, it doesn't protect those people. Again, even Republicans have admitted over 15 million people are going to lose their medical coverage, while the biggest tax breaks for the top 1% in the history of this country are in this bill. You can't be okay with that.
Well, I'm not. I think I told you when we were having the conversation in Colorado that I think that it is unfair that the largest tax cuts went to the top 1%. However, Donald Trump, we also must acknowledge that Trump did keep his promise with no taxes on tips, no tax on overtime up to $10,000
with a cap of 25
no tax on Social Security.
With a cap of $25,000, and their
Right.
taxes will go up. So in essence, they're not making more money by keeping your the taxes. But if you want to talk about promises, back in 2016, did you vote for him in 2016? By the way,
I voted for him every time he ran.
Okay, when he said he was going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it, how did that work out?
Well, he did get the wall built, and Mexico paid for a portion
How
of the
much
wall.
of the wall was built? How much of the wall was built?
I'm not sure the exact
7%.
percentage.
7%. So no, the wall wasn't built. 7%. He also said he was going to hire a special prosecutor to go after Hillary Clinton. How did that work out?
Well, he didn't, because he changed his mind. He said, I didn't want to do that to the wife of a former president. So he actually showed a little bit of class there.
Or maybe it could have been there
You admit
wasn't.
he showed a little bit of class with the Hillary Clinton piece, or no?
No, because I believe that. Well, here's why. This was the next question I was going to ask you. Maybe there wasn't any sufficient evidence that she could have been prosecuted because the FBI did investigate her. By the way, she testified under oath.
She deleted it, like multiple thousands of emails.
Okay, so if you want to give,
not what you know, it's what you can prove. You can't prove it. There's no point
Right.
in prosecuting.
Well, exactly. That's my point. So my point is he probably didn't have enough evidence, but he made those claims so that he could become the president of the United States. He did promise on the campaign trail that he would end the war within 24 hours. How did that work out?
Well, it didn't work out. He went on. He did try to make a deal, and we're not going to act like Israel didn't break the ceasefire immediately after Trump signed it, which is why he had the balls to go on Fox News and say you have two countries that are fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. So I think that we have to be honest. Trump did attempt that, but Israel went and did something that they were not supposed to do based on the confines of the agreement that was made between Israel, Trump, and Iran.
Okay,
so
but
I'm not going to blame the entire Middle Eastern conflict exclusively on the president of the United States. I think that does a disservice to Trump.
Okay, so we can talk about Iran. I'm happy to do that with you and talk about Israel. We might agree on this. But Trump is the guy that ran on the fact that he would end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. He said, all I have to do is pick up the phone. What's happened since then? No sanctions on Russia, none. He rolled out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin. Putin, President Xi, and Kim Jong-un are having meetings, private meetings, and Trump even openly admitted they're working against the United States of America. He's called Zelensky a dictator, and he said Ukraine started this war. How can you, I keep saying this, how can you be okay with that?
Well, because Trump did make an effort to end the war. Now, Trump cannot control the second largest superpower on the planet in Vladimir Putin.
Then why would he say that? Then why would he run and I would end the war in 24 hours?
Well, for the same reason that Barack Obama said, we're going to end the war in Iraq and we're going to bring our troops home because we're going to bring change to America. Yet immediately upon him entering office, he sent 53,000 more troops overseas the second that he got in. So presidents often make promises, and sometimes the execution does not follow the political rhetoric. And that's just, we have to be honest about American politicians. Trump is one of the few presidents that has at least attempted to keep some of his promises, but this is America. This is global politics. You can't always keep your promises to the best of your ability. You can try, but I don't see all of the same rhetoric or the same vitriolic accountability measures being used when it's a Democrat in office. Once again, Barack Obama made the claim that he would end the war in Iraq and sent multiple thousands of troops over as soon as he got in. He increased the deficit by billions of dollars as soon as he got in. And the fact is,
you care about increasing the deficit, then why don't you talk about Donald Trump in 4 years raising the deficit to $8.2 trillion? If you really care about the deficit and you want to talk about Republicans, we know that Republicans raise the deficit on average 3 to 4 times more than Democrats do. So if you care about the deficit, you're going to lose that argument. Trump is killing the economy.
No, that has nothing to do. The unfortunate reality is that we live in a fiat-based currency system, and so the unfortunate truth is it doesn't matter who's president, the deficit will always continue to increase because the Federal Reserve loans every dollar that we have to us.
Right, but you're
debts attached to it. So I'm not going. What I'm saying is that Barack Obama also ran on the platform of trying to end the deficit. So did Joe Biden. No president since the Federal Reserve is coming to existence has been able to stop the deficit from being on a rise. So I'm not going to hold that actually specifically against the president. However, when they make claims that they'll end it, knowing that it's an impossibility because debt is literally built into the American economic system, that's not one that I hold against them until they start saying, well, we're going to do this and end the deficit, when it can't be done unless a massive restructuring of the Fed takes place.
Austin, who was the last person to end his presidency with a surplus? Was that a Republican?
Bill Clinton ended with a budget surplus, but the United States national deficit was still in the trillions of dollars. The United States has not been debt free since Andrew Jackson shut down the last Federal Reserve, last central bank that preceded the Federal Reserve. People love to say, "Oh, Clinton got us debt." No, he had a budget surplus. There was still a deficit at the national level.
Okay, the point that I was trying to make is if you're talking about a surplus and you're talking about presidents and you want to put on average Republicans and Democrats, Republicans get us much further in debt than Democrats do. But, what was your biggest issue with Kamala Harris policy-wise? Why didn't you vote for Kamala Harris?
The Inflation Reduction Act and her inability to
Joe
be
Biden.
authentic.
That was Joe Biden. She was the vice president.
She was the tie-breaking vote.
Yeah, but I understand
Her
that.
tie-breaking vote passed that, and it increased inflation it's what led Biden's inflation to end at 4.64%.
And you think tariffs are the answer?
I think tariffs is a part of it. I think that what I would like to see Trump do is do what he said he would do when he first got in, take an audit of Fort Knox, take a look at and examine how much gold is actually in those vaults. And I would love to see HR 2435 passed under the Trump administration, which would actually reinstitute the gold standard. That bill is still on the House floor right now. It just hasn't been debated yet. I would love to see Trump pass that bill. If his administration did it, I think inflation would be tackled immediately.
Why is it, Austin? Now we can continue to talk about Kamala Harris, and I'm happy to do that with you and your criticisms. But we have a short period of time here. Why is it that after, and I'm happy to have you back on. Why is it that after every school shooting in this country, we hear from MAGA Republicans thoughts and prayers? They talk about transgenders. They talk about banning books. They talk about drag queen reading. But when it comes to guns in this country, and by the way, we have almost more guns than any other country in the world. We also have more gun violence than almost any other country in the world. Republicans say more guns make us safer. The fact is that they don't. We hear thoughts and prayers, and Donald Trump doesn't lower the flag at half-mast after children are shot. There was a police officer, an African-American police officer, that was murdered because some nut job who was anti-vaccine murdered a man who served this country honorably. Donald Trump didn't even mention this officer's name, but yet the flags are at half-mast for a guy like Charlie Kirk, who I believe spread hate and bigotry. Why don't Republicans ever talk about gun control and lowering the temperature? Why is it after all these mass shootings, I never hear any solutions by Republicans?
I think that there have been solutions proposed by Republicans. Donald Trump has always stated he was in favor of universal background checks. We must also remember that Donald Trump is the president that banned bump stocks after the horrendous shooting.
And then they overturned that. And then they overturned that, and he changed his mind on that after he met with the leader of the NRA. So that's not true. After the October 1 shooting, he did
ban it. That doesn't mean he can't reverse his decision, but he did ban bump stocks after that incident. That doesn't take away a president's ability to change their mind or change a policy. Yeah. But the real issue here, Brian, that I would like discussed is you look at these, mass shootings. Well, let me address Charlie Kirk first. The reason that Charlie Kirk got flags flown at half staff is the same reason that other notable figures have had the same sort of treatment. Charlie Kirk was a notable figure. That does not discount or take away the horrendous tragedy that happened to those children. But the reason that he got it was because Charlie Kirk had made a major impact. I would imagine that if your platform gets large enough, mine gets large enough, and something horrendous occurs to us, that whatever politician we may have sided with or may have voted for, it wouldn't surprise me if they granted us the same honor.
Was it notable when a woman who was an elected official and a Democrat was murdered in Minnesota, her and her husband, clear political, and then Donald Trump didn't even know that it happened? He claimed that he didn't even know her name. Isn't that kind of notable when a Democrat politician gets murdered because of her political affiliation? Not only did he not lower it at half staff, but he claimed he didn't even know it happened and didn't know her name. Is that acceptable to you?
No, that's not acceptable. I think that you should treat lawmakers all the same, but there was also some information coming out that was suggesting that she was not murdered by a Trump supporter. There was some information stating that person did not vote for President Trump, but that doesn't matter. I would like to see the same. I would like to see lawmakers, regardless of political party or political affiliation, honored the same way. But I think that one of the reasons Trump gave Charlie Kirk such high praises, such high marks, and had the flags flown at half staff is because without Charlie Kirk, Donald Trump doesn't gain such a large majority of the vote.
I agree. I agree with what you just said. Only if it benefits Donald Trump. If it benefits Donald Trump, he will lower the flag at half-mast, because I agree with you. Charlie Kirk was probably a big part of Donald Trump's victory. But if you're a Democrat or somebody that is anti-Trump, no matter what you do, you could be a John McCain, you could be a Powell, no matter what you do, if you don't help Donald Trump, you said it yourself. That's why we should probably end the interview on something that we actually agree on. I agree with you. If it doesn't help Donald Trump, he's not going to lower the flag at half mast.
Well, we can't sit here and say that Democrats go out of their way to help Republicans. We can't sit here. We can't
Really?
make that statement. I didn't see Democrats try to take it easy on Trump when they weaponized the Justice Department against him. I don't see the Democrats taking it easy on him when they tried to throw him in jail. I'm not going to act like political nepotism doesn't exist. I'm not going to ever I'm not going to put on rose-colored glasses here and say that, oh, well, even myself, let's say that I actually gained the platform large enough in a couple of years, couple decades, maybe, or a decade or so to run for president. Do you actually think that I'm worried if Democratic lawmakers or Democratic politicians take it easy on me or give me grace? No, I'm going to help those that help me get me in office. That doesn't mean I'm going to mistreat those that are in my opposition, but you're absolutely correct. I would show some degree of favoritism for those that help
so the
Democrats cast their vote for me.
The Democrats tried to put him in jail. Is Jack Smith a Democrat or a Republican?
Jack Smith was a Republican, I believe.
Thank you. So the Democrats didn't try. Okay, so thank you
so
for agreeing.
Letitia James was a Democrat. Fani Willis wasn't a Democrat. Jasmine Crockett's not a Democrat. Calling him Hitler. Come on, Brian. Come on.
Sure. It can go both ways. But was Hunter Biden a Republican or a Democrat? I believe that was Joe Biden's son. Did the DOJ go after him?
You mean the one that got you mean the one that got pardoned by the auto pin? That
Joe Biden,
preemptive pardon? That Hunter?
By the way, even Republicans have admitted that was not an auto pen. That was actually Joe Biden's signature on that. But you're claiming that it was, they only go after Democrats. And what I'm trying to tell you that's not factually accurate.
No. I'm not claiming that. I'm claiming that people would have political power show favoritism to those that have assisted them, regardless of party affiliation, right? I don't care. Democrats will show favoritism to Democrats. Republicans will show favoritism to Republicans. Independents will show favoritism to independents. That's
I
all.
know. Just for the record, you said Democrats tried to throw him in jail, and I just made the point that the lead prosecutor, Jack Smith, is a Republican. That's. I was just trying to.
Jack Smith was the lead prosecutor, but we also have to. You also have to admit, Fani Willis, Democrat. Jasmine Crockett, Democrat. The Democratic lawmakers that were advocating for him to go to jail, a large percentage of them were Democrats.
Advocating somebody to go to jail. And by the way,
and Fani Willis had a case on him against Fulton County. I live in Georgia. I watched him come down here and get his mugshot.
Okay, so let me ask you a question then. If you care so much about unfairly advocating somebody to go to jail, why haven't you called out Charlie Kirk, who advocated for Joe Biden to get the death penalty?
He did not advocate for that. You took that.
Yes, he did.
He never. You play the clip. That's what I would say, because Charlie Kirk never advocated for Joe Biden to get the death penalty. That is a gross mischaracterization of what Charlie Kirk said. He never advocated for that once.
I will play that on the show. I will email it to you. I have the audio, and I've played it on the show before. Charlie Kirk advocated for Joe Biden to get the death penalty. But you know what? I will email it to you, and then I would love for you to come back on the show. And it's a good debate, and I appreciate the conversation. And let's do it again, my friend. I appreciated meeting you out there in Colorado, and I'm happy to continue the conversation. Let's do it again.
Most definitely, brother. We're going to have to do it some more. I'm sure we'll be seeing each other again at the next UFS tour stop, without question.
I enjoyed it, and I posted our debate on YouTube, and it's gotten a lot of comments. So check it out, and I appreciate you being a good sport and having a good spirited debate with me. I do believe that's what the one thing that I certainly have in common with Charlie Kirk, and I think you have that in common with him too, political discourse. Thank you, Austin Broton. Give out your social medias before I let you go.
Yes, sir, absolutely. You guys can find me on TikTok at Real Austin Off Script, on Instagram at Austin Off Script, at YouTube at Austin Off Script. And Brian, this is a supreme honor, brother. I love people that I can have discourse with. Even though we disagree, there's good dialogue, good conversation. We're going to have to do this again.
Absolutely. Austin, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother.
All right. There you go. Austin Broton, everybody. I want to open up the phone lines now because it's been a little while since you guys had the opportunity to talk to me. It's been a little while. So let's do it. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's start off with Herb. Herb is first up on PTL. Hello, Herb.
Hey, Brian, how you doing? Long time no talk to you. I like that guy, Austin. I really like him.
I'm shocked.
Very impressive.
Shocking.
I'm going to start. I know you're not shocked, but listen, he had said something about Trump in advance of January 6th requested, asked Nancy Pelosi if they wanted the National Guard. Is that true?
Herb, is that a serious question? Is that a serious question?
Yes, it is, Brian. I'm asking a serious question. Did Donald Trump in advance of January 6th offer the National Guard to come to Washington, D.C.?
Oh, you said in advance. Okay, not during, because during he did not ask Nancy Pelosi.
No. I'm talking about this is like January 4th.
So here's the way I will answer that question. In advance, there have been some testimony that he did ask for extra security. However, there's a however in there. During January 6th, Donald Trump had the power, as he did in D.C. a few weeks ago, to call in the National Guard himself. There is zero evidence that he asked to do that. So the real question should be, when all the violence is going on, Herb, as you know, and it was a very bad day for America, he had 4.5 hours to call in the National Guard, Herb. He did not do that. It's been investigated. So if you want to criticize, okay, there should have been better security there. There should have been more stuff. Okay, no problem. I will agree with you on that. Will you also agree with me that Donald Trump, during January 6th, did not call in the National Guard? He had the authority to do so, just like he had the authority a few weeks ago to call in the National Guard. Would you agree with me on that?
Let me tell you, Brian, at that time, that day that you're talking about, I was in the hospital with COVID. And so I wasn't listening. I didn't know anything.
You don't know. Okay. So Herb, I'm sorry you had COVID.
Wait, hold on. I just want to clarify.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in advance on January 4th.
You won't answer my question. Hold on, Herb. Herb, I answered your question. I need you to answer mine now. I answered yours honestly.
No. I'm just
Herb, hang on, Herb. Herb, hang on a second. Okay, just relax. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you had COVID. Donald Trump, just because you had COVID doesn't mean you can't answer this question. For 4.5 hours, Donald Trump had the authority as president of the United States to call in the National Guard. My question to you is, he had the authority a few weeks ago to call in the National Guard. He had no problem doing it then. Will you criticize Donald Trump and call him out for not calling in the National Guard for the 4.5 hours we had something called the January 6th insurrection? Are you willing to call him out for that? I don't care whether you were in the hospital with COVID.
Okay. Well, looking back on it and knowing what I know, based on reports and things, I don't know that they could have gotten together and got down there in time to do anything.
So you're defending. So you're defending Donald Trump for not. Hold on. Let me get this right. You're defending Donald Trump for 4.5 hours during January 6th, not putting a video out and not calling out the National Guard, but yet you want to blame Nancy Pelosi for not having Washington, D.C. prepared. When, by the way, Donald Trump had just as much responsibility. Am I getting you right there, Herb? So you want to blame Nancy Pelosi, but you don't want to put anything on Donald Trump.
Wait, hold on a second, Brian. All I'm saying is that during the demonstration, during the
it wasn't a demonstration, it was an insurrection. Wasn't a demonstration, it was an insurrection.
No, it wasn't an insurrection.
Oh, really? What was it then? What was it then? Well,
they attacked the Capitol.
Right. And what were they trying to do, Herb?
So
Herb, hold on, Herb. This is an important conversation.
Brian, why don't you let somebody talk?
I've let you talk for 5 minutes. Herb, stop acting like Nancy Mason. Herb, stop acting like Nancy Mason playing the victim. You said something that is not true. Okay. You said something that is not true. You said it's not an insurrection. So let's have a conversation about that, Herb. Okay. What were they trying to do?
No.
Oh, you don't want to detour. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to detour you off the show. What do you think about that? If you don't want to answer my questions and you want to say things that are not true, I'll answer it for you, Herb. Okay. They were trying to overthrow a free and fair election. Sadly, they were able to delay the counting of electoral votes in Mike Pence, who actually did the right thing, but they were putting pressure on Mike Pence to count these fake electorates. That's what they were trying to do. They delayed the certification of the election. That is why we call it an insurrection. Herb, have a very nice day. Let's go to Brandon. Brandon is next on PTL. What's up, Brandon?
Hey, Brian. Hope you're doing well today. Yesterday, that memorial was such a great day. All the speeches were great. Donald Trump, Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk. Not Charlie Kirk, Stephen Miller, Tucker Carlson. It was just phenomenal. And the thing that I really like about it is that Erica forgave the shooter. And so when are you going to forgive Donald Trump? I just feel like you're holding to so much hate for the guy. It's not healthy. When are you going to start realizing that Donald Trump is doing a good job? He is a great guy for this country.
He's a great guy.
He is a wonderful guy.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Would you consider somebody being a great guy that it's an adjudicated rapist? Is that a good guy?
Well, who am I to judge?
Who are you to judge? Right. Who are you to judge? Would you consider somebody to be a good guy who says they don't respect John McCain, a POW, because they were captured? Is that a good guy?
It was an off-the-cuff remark.
Oh, off-the-cuff remark. Would you consider it? Got you. Let's keep going with this pretzel curling. Would you consider it a good guy, somebody who goes into teenage girls' locker rooms without their permission and brags about it sexually? Is that a good guy?
Not by your definition.
Oh, okay. So explain to me how your definition, you're a good guy if you go into teenage girls' locker rooms without their permission while they're undressing. I want to know what your definition of how that is a good guy.
It's not a good guy.
Okay, thank you. So it's your definition as well. So don't you just say it's my definition. Do you think it's a good guy to have unprotected sex with your wife 2 weeks after Barron was born with a porn star and then pay her off $130,000? Is that a good guy?
It's not a good thing.
Not a good thing. Right. Thank you. I agree with you. I agree with you. How about thousands of discrimination lawsuits that Donald Trump lost and had to pay out because he didn't want black people living in his complexes in Manhattan? Would you characterize that as a good guy?
I don't know what happened.
You don't know what happened. Okay. Oh, you don't know what happened. Let's move on. How about the Parkland Five? Donald Trump took a page out of the New York Times saying that they deserved the electric chair. And then when they were proven innocent and freed based on DNA, Donald Trump refused to say he was sorry. He refused to retract and he doubled down. Would you consider that to be a good guy?
I mean, he believes in justice. I mean,
do you think it's justice to give some? You don't know the details. Well, let me give you the details. 5 people were convicted and then proven through DNA that they were innocent for a violent, brutal murder. Donald Trump said they deserved the electric chair. And then after they were found innocent based on DNA, he refused to retract or apologize and he doubled down on it. Based on that information, would you see that as being a good guy?
I don't think he studied the information.
You don't think he studied the information? So let me get this right. You don't think he studied the information? Okay, gotcha. When Donald Trump sells Bibles and he claims that the Bible is his favorite book and he can't recite one verse in the Bible, would you consider that a good guy, somebody who makes money off of selling Bibles?
Well, I think people's favorite Bible verses is very personal to them. I mean,
okay, it's personal.
Like
Gotcha. So it's personal.
Right?
Gotcha. So it's personal, Tim. Okay. Would you consider somebody being a good guy who not only is a proven liable sexual abuser, but has 25 women have accused him of sexual assault or rape, including his ex-wife in court documents? Would you characterize that person as a good person?
Well, it sounds like he's a player, but I think he needs to.
So you think someone who's proven to be an adjudicated rapist, you would characterize a rapist as a player? No, a player is somebody that sleeps with a lot of women, but the women are willingly having sex with the man. There are plenty of women, including his ex-wife, that said that they were not willing to have sexual relations with him. Would you consider that to be, quote, a good person? Yes or no?
I mean, it's not ideal character.
It's not ideal. Okay, thank you.
He's doing a lot.
Thank you. No. You said he's a good person. Thank you for admitting it's not ideal.
Nobody's perfect.
It's not ideal. Nobody's perfect. So if I prove to you that he's a sexual abuser, your response to that is, well, nobody's perfect. Boy, that is really pathetic, man. I could go on and on with you for an hour. Let me explain to you something. Donald Trump is not a good man. He's a horrible human being. He's attacked women.
He's a great president.
Okay, you know what? Okay. Oh, you want to talk about being a great president? Okay, what's he doing that's great? What's he doing that's great? Name me a policy.
Well, number one, he's doing the ICE deportations. That's just phenomenal.
So you think it's phenomenal? Okay, so let's talk about that. You think it's phenomenal?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, hold on. You think it's phenomenal for ICE agents around the country to not identify themselves, we've seen it on video, to deport people who are nonviolent criminals without due process. In our Constitution, it says any person deserves due process, not any citizen. So you think it's good policy to go against our own Constitution? Is that what you're saying?
It's immigration law. You come in illegally, you're getting.
No, that's not my question.
I mean, come on, Brian.
You come on. In our Constitution, it says any person has the right to due process. So you're okay with going against our own Constitution? Come on. Are you okay with that?
They're not citizens. They should get out of here.
In our Constitution, it says any person deserves the right to due process, not any citizen. My question to you is, are you okay with the president ripping up parts of the Constitution? Because that's exactly what he's doing. Would you consider that great policy?
If it achieves the goal of cleaning up the country.
So we don't have to go against our Constitution so long as you think it's good policy, and you're okay with that.
You liberals don't care about the
I'm not a liberal. I'm sir. How have I used the Constitution to destroy the country? By the way, let me correct you because everything you say is factually inaccurate. I've been a registered independent my whole life. I didn't vote for Barack Obama. I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. There's nothing wrong with being a liberal, but that's your go-to excuse and your comeback when you get destroyed. Oh, you liberals. I'm not a liberal. I'm a registered independent, and I think you're a MAGA buffoon. Why don't you answer my question? You're the one who's defending Donald Trump ripping up parts of our Constitution because you agree with what he's doing. That is
It's law
pathetic.
enforcement functions. It's just basic law.
It is not a
enforcement. It's
basic.
not doing
It is
anything.
not a basic law enforcement function. It says in the Constitution that every person has the right to due process. It is not basic law enforcement function. You want to know what a law enforcement function is? You have to identify yourself, who you are. You have to identify yourself as an ICE agent. You have to identify yourself.
Brian.
No. Don't Brian me. When police officers
Brian.
don't Brian me. When police officers go into a home and serve a warrant, they have to identify themselves as law enforcement. When ICE agents try to capture somebody, they have to identify themselves as ICE agents. Don't Brian me. If you want to talk about what law enforcement are supposed to do, I'm giving you the facts. Are you okay? Since you're okay with, I guess, going against parts of our Constitution, I suppose that makes it okay with you for them to break the law. Are you okay with Tom Homan accepting a $50,000 bribe? Are you okay with that? He's a good guy, right?
I didn't hear about that.
Of course you didn't hear about that.
I'm ask you a question.
Of course you didn't hear about that because you watch Newsmax and Fox News and they don't cover it.
Ask you a question, Brian.
Sure, I can't wait.
Okay. So let's see. I'm going to try to put it in a way that's easy for you to understand. Let's say someone breaks into your house.
You don't have to.
You want that person out of your house, or you just want to be arrested and taken out. You handcuff the animal and you take them out.
So let me explain to you. Let me.
Illegal.
Okay. So now let me. Now let me. Okay. Now let me try to explain to you something because I'm not sure you're smart enough to understand it. If you break into a home, it is a felony. If you go across the border illegally, what do we call that?
That's a crime.
What do you call it, though? What type of crime is it? Let's see if you're smart enough to even understand. I don't think you are.
Crime.
No, it's not. No. Is it a felony? Is it a felony?
I don't know exactly what it is.
You don't know anything. So you don't know anything. Now you tried to I'm going to try to speak slowly and distinctly so somebody like you can understand. You ready for this? If you break into somebody's home, it is considered a felony. If you cross the border illegally, it is a misdemeanor. You are comparing a misdemeanor to a felony because you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Now, I hope I spoke. I hope I spoke distinctly and slow enough for you to understand. You MAGA imbecile, you. By the way, you have the better chance of being the victim of a crime from a U.S. citizen than you do an undocumented immigrant. And I hope they deport you. Let's go to the MAGA destroyer, Darlene. I need to laugh a little bit. Darlene's next. What's up, Darlene?
Hey, Brian. First of all, Brian, I'm in a wheelchair, but I'm standing up right now to tell you how much I love you, how much you loved your country, and what a wonderful, wonderful job you did down there in Colorado. And John and I watched all the videos.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Awesome. And don't let anybody tell you weren't because you were.
Well, I
now that I got that out of the way. Sorry, Brian.
That's okay.
Austin. Oh, my God, dear. You young little black boy, I cannot believe that you don't realize that the United States president don't give a flying poop about you black people. Do you understand what I'm saying? And if you don't believe me, go talk to some other black people. And another thing, I know you talk more professional than I do, but I talk the old country white girl way.
Yeah.
I promise you, I would never, ever vote for you. And because
I agree, Darlene.
Nothing.
And by the way, I have Darlene, while you're on the air with me, I'm going to share this breaking news, and I'm very happy to hear this for all you MAGA idiots out there that were so happy that Jimmy Kimmel's off the air and he's talentless. Guess what? Jimmy Kimmel will be back on the air tomorrow. So all you MAGA idiots out there that were trying to cancel Jimmy Kimmel, hey, guess what? It didn't work, you idiots. He's back on the air. We won. He's back on the air.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to share that with all of you. Darlene, it's so good to hear from you, and I appreciate your call. For all the MAGA idiots out there that were so happy that Jimmy Kimmel lost his job, you were so happy with your cancel culture. You were so happy. Well, guess what? Jimmy Kimmel's back on the air tomorrow night. You did not win, and you will not win. Because there were too many influential people out there and people with a lot of money who knew that this was wrong. So sorry to all of you MAGA idiots out there that wanted to cancel Jimmy Kimmel for making a harmless joke. Jimmy Kimmel will be back on the air tomorrow night. And boy, I cannot wait for his monologue. I cannot wait because I enjoy him ripping Donald Trump a new one every single night. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's see. Who are we going to next here? Let's go to Harrison. Harrison is next up on PTL. Hello, Harrison.
Hey, Brian. So I just kind of wanted to go through the first few people that called in, including Austin that you had on the show.
Yeah.
As a black man, just hearing him and just the excuse making and all of that, it was really upsetting to listen to. I can't lie. It was fuming me inside, some of the things that he was saying. And I hate to put it this way, but it kind of just sounded like, the old saying, just a coon dancing the jig. And I just have to say that if he ever ran, that nobody, not me or anyone in my family, would ever vote for the man, given the things that he said on your show today. First of all, I don't even need to address Herb. We all know that he's an idiot every time he calls in. So that's another thing. But then the third guest, I forgot his name, but the one that called in and said Trump is such a great president, that all that. I mean, I don't know what alternate universe these people are living in. I mean, if they just pull their head out of his ass for 2 seconds and look around,
I'll tell you what it
is. Nothing.
I'll tell you what it is. They all have MAGA herpes. That's what it is. It's incurable. They have it for their entire life. They could use some lotion from time to time, and they could have days where it might go away, but it'll always come back. They have MAGA herpes. It's not going away.
Yeah, I mean, and I just want to say, because that the whole, Charlie Kirk, the funeral that we saw, to me, it just seemed like a big cult gathering, to where they weren't even honoring really him. It was just a big campaign rally and a rah thing and I just think that this is a whole different type of thing that's now coming up from this. This isn't normal. Nothing about this is normal. And this is actually kind of scary that they are all just so just ready to, as they say they want peace, but yet they want violence. Yeah. They say they're Christian, but yet they want all these unchristian things. And I just don't understand what exactly is going on right there. And it's scary to me.
It is scary, my friend. And I'm glad you're one of those people out there that calls it out. I appreciate you. Very, very much. Again, we're following the breaking news that Jimmy Kimmel will be back on the air tomorrow night. Boy, do I first of all, I've met Jimmy Kimmel on multiple occasions. He's a great guy. He's a good family man. He's a good father. He's a good husband. And I think he's very talented. I've met him because he owns the Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club here in Las Vegas. And I've talked to him multiple times. And I love Jimmy Kimmel. I think he's great. And I'm so happy that he's going to be back on the air tomorrow. How about all these MAGA clowns out there that were celebrating Kimmel off the air, and then 2 days later he's back on the air? What an embarrassment for all these idiots. Let's go to Tez. Tez is next on PTL. What's up, Tez?
God, what a fire and brimstone show today, my friend. Lots to work with.
Yep.
I don't even know where to start. Look, the gentleman you had on in the beginning, educated, articulate, but just like any other Trump fellatio syndrome patient, every time they're faced with an empirical fact that they don't have an answer for, it's Trump being Trump.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're
That
right.
was not odd.
It's Trump being Trump. It's Trump being Trump. Yeah, I hear that all the time. It's just such a disgrace. Donald Trump could literally sodomize a child on video, and they would either blame it on AI, Joe Biden, or they would say, well, it's just Trump being Trump. It's so pathetic.
No, and I want to bring up, too, look, there's another state senator and his wife, John Hoff, and his wife, Yvette. They were also shot by this right-wing nut job, Vance Butler. They live 90 minutes away from the Hortmans. Makes very little news. Good news is they are recovering. It looks like they're going to be fine. I think their daughter was also injured. But I also want to tell you that on the little snippets I've seen of the Charlie Kirk memorial service, it looked like a WWE event.
A Klan rally. It was a Klan rally.
Yeah, it wasn't very somber. And as you implied, not a whole lot of stuff about the person that was supposed to be there.
Donald Trump, can you imagine, my friend Tez, can you imagine if you're at a funeral and you lost a loved one and the keynote speaker at a funeral is somebody that says they hate half the country? Can you imagine that? And then the excuse is, well, he was just making a joke. Part of the reason why, and by the way, I'm going to say this right now. If Donald Trump isn't reelected, I do believe that Charlie Kirk is still alive today. I really believe that. If Donald Trump never gets into politics, I believe that Charlie Kirk is still alive today. And yet that's the guy that's speaking and dividing the country even further. I think it's such a disgrace.
No, and I want to remind all the criminals in their administration that are probably going to see their due that the statute of limitations on a lot of these shenanigans they're pulling is 5 years. And so some of these people are going to have to face the wrath. Well, finally, too, as you implied, Stephen Miller, who writes all of Trump's speeches, having Joseph Goebbels speak at your funeral, again, inciting the crowd, talking about violence and taking out wrath.
I agree.
Just completely, unbelievably somber.
Yeah.
And hey, look, anytime you want me to come on, I'll fly myself over there. I think you probably need an opposition view one time on the show. Have you guys give me a buzz. I'll fly myself in. I'll be happy to come sit next to you.
Thanks for calling in, my friend. I appreciate you. Also want to thank our sponsors, Jackson's Bar and Grill, by the way. They've been great to us. So they're giving away these watches a week from tomorrow. The more you play at Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones, the better chance you have of winning. It goes into this electronic drum. They also have the Vegas Golden Knights promotions. The Vegas Golden Knights actually are playing tomorrow in a preseason game, but they have the Pass the Puck contest where you could win free slot play. Check them out. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. They're just wonderful people. Let's see. Who are we going to next here? Let's go to Jason. Jason is next up on PTL. Hi, Jason.
Okay, Brian, now you know when he just said Donald Trump, and first of all, that MAGA moron that was just on, what an idiot, a pure, unadulterated idiot, and then try to act like he was smarter than you was hilarious. And I'm going to slow this down for you. Like, dude, we all listen how dumb you are, and you're acting like you're more intelligent. That was the most buffoonery I've ever heard in my life. But I want to be really, 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 really serious with you right now.
Okay.
Your man said he hates half the country. And that was not a joke. But I want you to really emphasize this every single day. When Charlie Kirk was shot, a young black man was hung. HBCUs had to shut down.
Yep.
We had nothing to do with Charlie Kirk's death. But the first thing MAGA wanted to do was attack black people. And so now Donald Trump has put in MAGA's mind that he hates half the country. And now MAGA will think it's okay to hate half the country. And so I'm going to tell you right now, be very conscious of watching people suddenly be hung and killed because of MAGA. And nobody's going to say nothing because they keep on pushing. Oh, it's the left wing that's crazy. It's the left wing that wants to do violence. I'm letting you know, Donald Trump has just gave the dog whistle to MAGA to allow murder to happen.
And it gets worse. It gets worse. I want to, because I think you know this. The police officers saw him hanging from a tree, and they didn't see anything suspicious, and they lied to his family and said he died in his dorm.
No, not only that, they also said it was a suicide.
Insane.
They said it was a suicide.
Insane.
There's no black man in the world who would hang himself.
You're right. Jason, you're 100% correct, my friend. I'm on your side 100% on this one. I love your passion, and I agree with everything you just said. Let's see here. Let's go to Jeremy. Jeremy's next up on PTL. Hey, Jeremy, what's going on?
Hey, Brian, I just wanted to hop on here, bro, and let you know I definitely appreciate absolutely everything that you are doing, especially in this tumultuous time with all of the chaos and all of the violence. You having the cojones to still be able to go to these and call these MAGA posers out for exactly what they are. But on top of that, I also wanted to call out the guest. I am so sick and tired of these buffoons getting on the air and trying to sit there and say that the Biden administration or that some other Democratic administration weaponized the Department of Justice against their political opponents when we know that is 100% false in every single way, shape, and form. And I'm just so tired of the gaslighting and how they try to use it as a crutch to avoid any responsibility for all of their illegal doings. It's just so pathetic.
It's beyond pathetic. And here's the thing, right? I'm so disappointed in some people. And listen, I'm glad that Austin took the time to come on. I met Austin out there in Colorado. I enjoyed the conversation we had. I met his girlfriend, very nice lady. I don't think Austin's a bad guy at all. I just think he's I hate to put it like this, but I think some of his arguments are a little bit disingenuous. And I think he knows how bad of a person Donald Trump is. And I just don't understand why these people continue to curl themselves into a pretzel, the MAGA pretzel, as I call it. It's just so disappointing because I think, listen, there's a lot of people out there that are ignorant, that are ill-informed, they're racist, they're bigots. I don't think Austin is that guy. I just think he just has the blinders on. And it's so disappointing.
I'm kind of wondering about that, though, because, I mean, in all reality, it's like, how much evidence do you actually need presented to yourself?
Hey, I tried.
Before you finally start to actually, listen and take heed of what other people are saying.
I tried to do the best I could to fact check him. I tried to do the best I could by pinning him with some of the stuff that Donald Trump has said and done. I tried to do the best I could. There's nothing.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't think there's anything else I really could have said. I mean, and he said some things that were not true. I fact checked him. There's nothing else really I can do. Right. I appreciate the call. 702-221-7283. By the way, we're also in the YouTube super chat where your questions and comments can be heard if you'd like to do that. Pushingthelimits.live where you can make donations. You're supporting my show and independent media. We appreciate your support in advance. All right, let's get back to the phone calls and let's go to Brett. Brett is next up on PTL. What's up, Brett?
Hey, how are you, Brian?
Good.
Good job today.
Thank you.
I just wondered, is Austin run a nonprofit? Because, it's obvious why he does what he does. Because there's no platform for him in the Democratic Party to make any money doing what he does. Just like the Candace Owens out there, he's and as far as running for president, what Republicans ever going to vote for him? They hate him. They're not voting for him. He's never going to be president.
I'm so glad you brought that up because, as you know, Black people in this country represent somewhere around 12 to 13% of the population, yet a fraction of African Americans are represented in the Republican Party. Geez, I wonder why that is.
Yeah, it's just disingenuous. I mean, it's his job to know these things. As far as him not seeing what happened on January 6th, he's a liar. He's a liar, and he can't.
I mean, I hate to call him that, right? But is there anybody that follows the news that puts on the TV that didn't see any footage of officers being physically assaulted? Like, is that even possible? Unless you,
it's his job.
Yeah, I find that
for a living.
I find that you know what, my friend, I was mesmerized when he gave me that answer. I was mesmerized. I appreciate your call, my friend. Thank you so much. Go to Dewey. Dewey is next up on PTL. Hey, what's up, Dewey?
Hello, good afternoon. I just wanted to congratulate Donald Trump for bringing the crime down in Washington, D.C.
Is this a serious call?
Oh, yes, sir.
So did you also congratulate him for pardoning a bunch of January 6th insurrectionists? He pardoned all of them, many of them who beat police officers. Did you congratulate him then? Or did you call him out?
Oh, the police officers that let him in? That they beat up?
Actually, that's not true. There were only several officers that let him in. Let's be factually accurate. There were 140 officers that were beaten. There were only several officers, and they testified
but they still let him in.
Yeah, and they testified under oath. And do you know why they did that, sir? Well, let me ask you a question because you seem like a really smart guy. When you have 2 or 3 police officers and you have hundreds and hundreds of people that are trying to push through you, they have 2 choices. Either take out your gun and start killing people and shooting people or let them in. Do you think they made the right decision?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so let me get this right. You think that the 2 or 3 police officers there that day who testified under oath, you think what they should have done was taken out their gun and start killing people.
Yeah,
that's
why not?
Okay, well then you're an idiot. I really don't know what else to say. You're an idiot. Did you complain about Ashley Babbitt's death?
Who the hell is that?
You don't? Okay, so you want to call in and talk to me about January 6th and you don't even know who Ashley
No,
Babbitt
I
is?
didn't say January 6th, sir. I said Washington, D.C. is crime is down.
No.
I didn't say anything about January 6th.
You're talking about Washington, D.C. and crime being down. Last I checked.
Yeah, 2025,
Okay,
not 2020.
right. Okay, calm down, sir. Take a breath. Calm down. Okay. Something called January 6th also happened in Washington, D.C. And the reason why I'm bringing that up because I want to see if you're consistent. Okay. I want to see if you're consistent. On January 6th, people died and 140 officers were injured that day. You're telling me you don't even know who Ashley Babbitt is? How ill-informed are you? Who cares? Who cares? Okay. So you're claiming you don't care about people getting killed, but yet you want to congratulate Donald Trump for the crime being down in D.C. Sir, do you watch the news? Are you like I'm sorry.
Population.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
What? I'm sorry. Repeat yourself. What did you just say, sir?
I said there's too many people on this planet. We need to get rid of 80% of the population.
Okay, get rid of this guy. Get rid of this guy. He's obviously not a serious person. I will say this, sir. If we needed to get rid of anybody in the population or deport people, you would be the first person on my list. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Boy, the average IQ of some of these MAGA supporters are under 20. It really is unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to Kathy. Kathy is next up on PTL. 702-221-7283. What's up, Kathy?
Hey, Brian, it's good to see you back.
Thank you.
Just wanted to, I know I can talk about Austin all day, but I'm not even going to give myself the energy to talk about him. What I want to talk about, however, is what happened in the resolution for Charlie Kirk that was passed by the House, and how many Democrats voted for it. And the surprising ones that actually voted for it, like Wasserman and Schultz, Jamie Raskin really blew me away that he did vote for this resolution, along with Moskowitz and a couple of members of the Congressional Black Caucus. I tell you, I just don't understand. I just don't understand why they did that.
Yeah, I to be honest with you, I don't understand either. There's a lot of things that are happening in Washington, D.C. right now that I don't understand. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch much of the Caroline Leavitt press conference today. I watched a part of it. And I want two things, and hopefully I think you all will be with me on this. I want the Epstein files released. I want the Tom Homan files released. We need to keep saying that every single day because Tom Homan should be in jail. He accepted a $50,000 bribe. It's despicable. He's the border czar. And for whatever reason, the Trump administration doesn't want to release the video. Geez, I wonder why. Maybe for the same reasons why Donald Trump doesn't want to release the Epstein files.
True. But do you want to hear something that's very scary that I just got an alert from Associated Press is that the Supreme Court is actually going to hear the case to have that Donald Trump is allowed to gut several different agencies that have had a 90-year precedence in this country.
Yeah.
So they want to give him the power.
No, you're right. They do. You're right. They want to give him the power. By the way, there's people in the chat that don't know the Tom Homan story. He accepted a $50,000 bribe for government contracts. Okay, it's in the FBI files, and the reports are that he accepted this bribe. It was an FBI cash sting operation, and of course the White House is denying it. Okay, then release the video. Of course they're not going to do that because Tom Homan is a scumbag and he's guilty. 702-221-7283. Joseph is next. Hey, Joseph, what's going on, man?
Hey, Brian. All right, here's my piece. Hearing about Charlie Kirk's funeral, that Trump and Stephen Miller are doing this hate speech goes to show that everything that they're doing is that's why they try to get rid of Jimmy Kimmel, is because they want to label comedians and talk show hosts as criminals and comedy as a crime. And it's going to make ordinary people like us to put up with everything they want us to think or say or do, like they want to they got rid of PBS, for example. They want to make kids educate their way of showing that slavery is a good thing, despite the fact it's not. And all that stuff they're hearing about Trump and RFK Jr. talking about autism as a grotesque horror show makes me go to show that I find that disturbing and very disgusting the way they're saying that autism is a horror show. But me, I'm autistic, yes, but I don't see it as a horror show. And they're thinking they're good for children, but they're not good for children, and they're not pro-life either.
Well, of course they're not pro-life, because if they were pro-life, then after the baby was born, they would help Americans in this country with maternity leave. They wouldn't take food stamps off the table. They wouldn't take Medicaid off the table. They wouldn't basically take every single government program off the table and try to get people easier access to guns, especially those that are mentally ill. So, Joe, I completely agree with you 150%. Let's go to Norm. I believe Norm is next on PTL. Hey, Norm, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Brian.
What's up, Norm?
You hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. No, Brian, I just had to call in. just listening to some of this conversation today, it's unbelievable to me. I'm a little shaky now, I'm nervous, but about the lack of education that's going on in the U.S. I don't know how to put it into words, but that's what one of the big problems with the U.S. is the lack of education. I think I don't think that you put in enough into education, and now I hear that they're going to want to close the Board of Education. It just
right.
It
It's not only that though.
mind.
It's not. So I agree with you. It's not just education though. I think it's the way people are raised. I think there's a lot of dumb parents out there that raise their children the wrong way. And when they're decked out in their MAGA gear and they emulate, and they're part of a cult, and they emulate a man who's an adjudicated abuser and a guy who is a criminal who's treated women horribly his entire life. Unfortunately, then you raise people like that, and you raise children to have hatred in their heart. And by the time they're adults, they're bad people. And it just,
that's one of my points too. When I first seen Trump come down the escalator there in 2015, I started following a little bit. And within a few months, I figured out that, would I want this guy around my children, as an example?
Of course you wouldn't. No more than you'd want Jeffrey Epstein around your children, or Ghislaine Maxwell, or anybody like that. But here's the thing. If you ask some of these MAGA morons, they will say, yeah, I would have no problem with Donald Trump around my kids, but that Joe Biden, he's the pedophile, because these are not serious people. The bottom line is these are just not serious people. And I appreciate the call, my friend. Thank you very much. Darcy, my good friend Darcy on the YouTube Super Chat says, welcome back, Brian. So glad you're safe. Pierce, the anti-trans swimmer, and Biggest Loser chick are no bueno. This little donation is for your mom, who did a great job raising you. Well, Darcy, that is so sweet, and that is so nice of you, and I really appreciate you and our friendship. Thank you very much. Anybody else in the YouTube Super Chat, please hit me up, and your questions and comments will be read live on the air. Let's go to Christy. Christy is next up on PTL. Hey, Christy.
Hi, Brian.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. What's on your mind today?
First, shout out to all my Facebook guys on the chat. Love them. They're the best. So, first of all, I'm not sure that Austin guy has the mentality to run for president. And I'm just really tired that I wish they would come up with some more thoughts of their own, instead of regurgitating the crap that we hear from the idiot president.
Mm-hmm.
And I live in Chicago, and the only violence that I see is from ICE and them being horrible to people that are protesting. That's it.
Yeah. Amen, Christy. Well said. And I'm with you 100%. And I appreciate your call. Let's go to Adrian. Adrian is next on PTL. What's up, Adrian? Thanks for calling in.
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
Good.
Kind of to the last point of your last caller, her point with Austin. People like him and the rest of the MAGAs, first of all, they're too pathetic for words. But what happens with America after this Trump era? I mean, in this age of information, all you got to do is just Google, and you can fact check and do some research. But what happens in America after this age is over with? Do we continue to be stupid and regurgitate what people are saying to us, or does America get back to some type of normalcy, or what, man?
Only when MAGA's done.
Pathetic.
Only when we defeat MAGA. If MAGA is still here, then it's not going away. So that's up to us to get to the voter booth, right? And to make sure that they have a good midterms in 2026, and make sure that we certainly don't get somebody like some jackass like the coucher assaulter, J.D. Vance, to become the president of the United States. I'm trying to get through the calls as fast as I could. Let's go to Scott. Scott is next up on PTL. We're almost out of time here, so I'll try to get to as many as I can. Hey, Scott.
Yeah, I don't think we want normalcy back, because that's what got us here. Normal America is pretty dumb, I hate to say, but, unfortunately or fortunately, a lot of the MAGA base is going to pass on, because they're older people who are afraid of communism while they're creating communism. But I just tuned in real late. I wanted to say a shout out to Darlene, the MAGA Slayer, and if you want to call me Scott, the MAGA hater, that's up to you.
That's fair. We can call you
But,
Scott. We can call you Scott, the MAGA hater. That's totally fine by me. Scott, I appreciate the call. We'll call you guys a PTL couple. How's that sound? Let's go to Bruce. Bruce is next on PTL. Hey, Bruce, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Okay, I'll try and be quick. There's two things that I want to bring up.
Okay.
Looking at the Kirk assassination, it looked very much like an operation. If you looked in the last second, you could see 3 operators, and they were sending at least 5 to 7 messages a second.
Well, here's the
guy with
problem.
white hat.
Here's the problem we have. We have Kash Patel leading the FBI. I don't think anybody would say that. There are a lot of strange things that happen there. Maybe it was just one individual. Maybe it was an operation. I don't think we're ever going to find out the truth because Kash Patel is an incompetent boob, is what he is.
Everybody thinks it's because he would have beat Trump. And the next thing, the Epstein list. I think why Trump doesn't want to release it is he's weaponized it for extortion. And that's why people are making so many goofy decisions.
Bruce, I think you're right. I think those are 2 really good points, and I think it's very plausible there could have been more than one person involved. Let's go quickly to Terry. Terry is next up on PTL. Hey, Terry, what's going on?
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Welcome to day 245 of the Trump regime. Just a couple things. Austin and Brendan, if you're still listening, Trump is not the best president. He has done nothing to make my life better or the ordinary American people. Number 2, the Epstein files. Austin brought something up about, quote, causing a geopolitical crisis if they release the files. So what?
Yeah.
Open them up.
I am with
Thanks,
you.
Brian, for taking my call.
Great call, Terry. I'm with you. We got a little bit of time for Miss Johnson's calling in next. Miss Johnson, what's going on?
Hey, Brian, good to see you back.
Thank you.
2 things. Herb has been smoking some herbs. I think he's January 6th, I believe he thought they were going there for trick-or-treating.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you might be right about that.
Definitely wrong.
Can I ask you, Miss Johnson, something real quickly? I'm
Yes.
sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
What do you think the ratings are going to be on Jimmy Kimmel's show tomorrow? Oh, my God.
Oh, I can't wait till it come on. I got my TV set now.
That monologue is going to be epic, and
I'm ready.
I think he's going to do what he always does, and he's going to just trash MAGA. I can't wait. I've never been more excited to see a late night
But
talk
you know
show than
what?
tomorrow.
The whole thing started when Jimmy Kimmel's son was sick.
Yes.
And a certain party made a comment about
Yes,
his son.
yes,
So, I mean,
correct.
hey,
Correct.
people got to know these things, right?
So you know what I'm going to do, Miss Johnson? I am going to open up the phone lines tomorrow, and thank you for the call, by the way. And I'm going to ask you guys what you think that Jimmy Kimmel monologue tomorrow is going to be like, because I think it's going to be epic, man. I think that is going to be, I love Jimmy Kimmel, and I think it's going to be epic tomorrow. I am so happy whoever made that decision to bring him back. Now, horrible decision to let him go, but really he was only gone for a couple days. So there's obviously going to be a lot of blowback with the Trump administration, and they have egg on their face. All these idiots out there. Oh, I'm so glad he's gone. He's back, and he's going to be better than ever. He's going to be better than ever. So for anybody out there, it's good to be back, by the way. I missed you guys. And I want to thank Doug for filling in for me. I'm going to be going all over the country on location with the Un-F America Tour. As I say again, they're all wonderful people. I'm so glad to be a part of what they're doing and getting a chance to get to know Destiny personally, on a personal level. He is a very interesting person. He's extremely intelligent. I love his debating skills, and to be able to team up with him and go around the country, I'm very honored to do so. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I will not be taking those days off. I will be doing the show on location. You'll probably see a lot more of Leonard. We'll talk about that Wednesday. But I'm honored to be a part of the Un-F America Tour, and it was so much fun. And I'm going to enjoy traveling all across the country and meeting fans all across the country. And, you know, I took a lot of selfies and met a lot of people that like the YouTube page and like what I'm doing. And it was an eye-opener for me that, you know, sometimes you hear all of you people calling into the show, and it's great. But when you actually see people shake your hand and say, I love what you're doing, it kind of, I have a responsibility not only to bring it every day to this show, but to travel across the country and meet all of you. So I'll let you guys know where I'm going to be at next. So if you want to support what we do, this is an independently owned radio show. Yeah, the YouTube page is great. Subscribe at PTL Radio Show, but go to my website, pushingthelimits.live. We sell PTL merchandise up there. If you don't want to buy merchandise, you can make a donation. I don't care what it is. Whatever you can afford, we're happy with. $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month. You help us keep the lights on here, and it helps me, independently owned media, do what I do every day. That is what separates fact from fiction, which is what I try to do on this show every single day. Tomorrow on the program, Ron Filipkowski from Midas Touch is going to be joining us, and Alex Jones is scheduled to join us at the bottom of the hour. You are not going to want to miss it. That is going to be an epic debate. We'll see you guys tomorrow, everybody. Have a great day.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That True Blue